Good evening, Niner fans. It is Monday, the first day of the week. The draft was this weekend. And you know what? The 49ers had a pretty good draft, if you ask me. But if you ask a lot of other people on social media, specifically PFF and Sports Illustrated, and a lot of other people, they've been getting some really bad grades. But it's really crazy to grade a draft when these guys haven't played. So I mean, you can give you like, you can grade it on terms of what do you feel like the pick was for based on their needs, and like what do you feel like in terms of okay, they drafted a certain amount of guys, and what do you project those guys to do? Do you think they could be starters? And yeah, in that sense, you could probably grade it, but you can't like grade right away and say, okay, all these guys are busts or this, that. Me, I see them play. But the media, they are killing the 49ers in terms of their draft grade. So we're going to talk about that today. And what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you guys had a good rest of your weekend. Yesterday, Sunday, there was no draft coverage. So it was nice to kind of chill and relax. Went and saw the movie Sinners with my, we went and saw that movie. And it was great. It was a great movie. Oh, man, Michael B. Jordan, unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil anything for you. But if you've seen it, whew, what a movie, man. How's everybody doing today? Happy Monday to y'all. Frank, Steven, Christine, how are we doing? Hope everybody's doing good. So let's talk about the draft. There's been some news in terms of, who the 49ers have brought in, and also their undrafted free agents. Yesterday, they made them official, and they got a couple of people that are trying out. There's this very, very important tryout that is going to be happening. We're going to talk about that player too. And, some unfortunate news for Dre Greenlaw. I know he's not on the Niners anymore, but, something to talk about just because there's no more news now that the draft is over. So we have to wait till training camp, mini camp, all that stuff. Rookie mini camp, I believe, is like next week. And then OTA start, phase 2, conditioning, all those off-season programs start to kind of get into the thick of it. May, June, and then July is a free month. And then August, we're back, training camp. So football's around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get to it. So as you know, the 49ers draft class, they went and drafted so much defense over the weekend. Let's go pick by pick. We'll talk about the undrafted players. We'll try to make this pretty quick today. But first pick, obviously, we remember Mykel Williams, edge rusher, defensive end. This is a guy that can be very versatile on the D-line. They like the ability that he has in setting the run, setting the edge, right? He can stop the run. He can get towards the pass rush, quarterback for the pass rush. And, he's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. And this is why they liked him. He's versatile. The 49ers like those Swiss Army knife type players. And Mykel Williams fits that mold. And, again, stopping the run is a big component of where they want to be with this defense. Last year, they were so bad in stopping the run. Even in the playoffs the year before, there were so many big plays that happened in the run game that Niners probably could have, avoided if they had better edge setters, And I remember watching the Green Bay game, and they rushed all over us. It was. I thought we were going to lose that Green Bay, in the playoffs game because of the fact we couldn't stop their run game. But luckily, we were able to hold tight and win that game. But man, run defense was not good. It was kind of falling apart. Last year, it fell apart completely. So definitely Mykel Williams, he's a guy that's going to help Bosa generate pressure on quarterbacks, but also he's able to kind of help stop the run. So they're going to play him all over the place. I thought it was a good pick. And then the next pick, obviously, Alfred Collins. This is a monster. He is a monster in the middle. We all saw his, highlights. We've seen the film, but this guy is a massive monster in the middle. It reminds me of like an Arik Armstead type guy, just run plugger. That's what they've been missing, right? A solid run defender in the middle. And I like this pick. This was probably just a stout. He was 6'6", 320. This is a monster. He's a big dude. And, you can see he gets into the space. He can just clog the lanes. This was another big time need for the 49ers, right? They have lost Javon Hargrave, Arik Armstead over the years. They've lost DJ Jones. So I like the Collins. He's just nasty in the middle. So it's a big time emphasis on stopping the run. And then they kept going, man. They kept going, and they got to me, this is probably one of the steals of the draft is the 49ers grabbing CJ West. They grabbed a defensive tackle, CJ West. This was probably my favorite pick in the draft. He was picked with pick 113 overall, and I was happy about this one because this guy is a big time space eater. He's so quick in the trenches. I mean, Holy moly. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he ran for a big guy. He ran a pretty damn good 40 time. I want to say he ran like a sub 540, and that's impressive for a big dude, for a big guy his size. He's like so he's 6'1" and 316 pounds, 6'1", 360 pounds. He's a big stout guy. And he just runs fast. And he, we all saw on the weekend his bio, his IG bio says he hates quarterbacks. He's a QB killer, man, and I like this guy. He reminds me a lot of DJ Jones. The 49ers said this is kind of like their DJ Jones. I feel like Robert Salah just went back to that 2019, said, okay, who are we missing? Okay, we need Armstead. We're going to get Armstead. We need DJ Jones. We got DJ Jones. Okay, we got Bosa. We already got him. Okay, we need a guy off the edge, Let's go get that type of guy. We need K'Waun Williams. Let's go get K'Waun. We need Dre Greenlaw or Azeez Al-Shaair. Let's go get that guy. And that's what he did, man. It's kind of funny how he kind of went through this draft. And then they had the linebacker, Nick Martin. He ran a 4.5 40 at the combine. This guy's so quick. He's fast. He's rangy, aggressive. I know he had the injury, but when he's healthy, this is a fantastic player. MCL injury, but this guy reminds me of Dre Greenlaw. The 49ers said it's kind of like that Dre Greenlaw type pick, and it's unfortunate for Dre Greenlaw. Hold on, I'm going to turn the fan on. It's a little warm in here. But Dre Greenlaw, he unfortunately suffered a quad injury last night, or yesterday. Apparently, he was been working out, and he suffered a quad injury. They said it was a tear, but now they're saying it's a lower grade strain. Unfortunate for him, but that was definitely a risk for the 49ers in terms of extending him. And, it's one of those things. I hope he gets better. But the 49ers, they replaced him with Nick Martin. And this guy he's a younger type of guy like Dre Greenlaw. I'm not saying that he's going to come in and be right away like Dre Greenlaw, but when Greenlaw was drafted for the 49ers, he was a 5th-round pick. They had Quan Alexander, and it was like, oh, what did you get Dre Greenlaw for? Quan got hurt, boom, and then the legend of Dre Greenlaw was developed. So, it's good to have these types of guys. They know how to develop guys, and Nick Martin, I feel like, is going to be in that mold of linebacker that they like. So they also have D Winters, right? And I think he's going to be there to compete. They got Tatum Bethune, who they drafted last year. So they got some guys in there. You need a special teams guy. You lost Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. So it's going to be a pretty tough competition at linebacker. So I like the move. Nick Martin was nice. And they also drafted a defensive back, Western Kentucky, Upton Stout. This was pick 100. This probably one of the more underrated players. I know he's undersized. He's 5'9". He's fast. They said he has a heart of a lion. He's the type of guy that's strong. He's great in the run game. He's a great nickel corner. He benched 21 reps at the combine, the most out of all DBs. So he's a very strong guy. He's quick. Very good player. He reminds the team of K'Waun Williams, the Shark. So you got DJ Jones. You got Dre Greenlaw back. You got Arik Armstead back. You got K'Waun Williams back. 49ers, Robert Salah said, hey, I'm just going to go bring the old defense back with the new version of them. He got all of his guys back. So it's kind of cool. And Upton, I mean, we saw the energy he had on his phone call. He was like, let's go, coach. Let's go, coach. Let's go, coach. Let's go. The energy was buzzing. I like what this guy brings. He could be a good slot corner. That's where he's probably going to be. You got Renardo Green, Deommodore Lenoir, and Upton. So to me, that was another good pick. We'll see how it plans out. Obviously, we got to see if any of these guys pan out. But so far, I felt like the 49ers did a good job in addressing a lot of their holes, right? They needed a nickel corner. They needed defensive tackles. They got 2 of them. They needed an edge rusher. You got one. You got a really good one at Mykel Williams. So 49ers did a good job. You needed another linebacker, right? You don't want to have another fiasco like you had last year, right? With Devondre Campbell. So I feel like they got most of their needs on defense. Now, a lot of people are soured on them because they didn't get an offensive lineman. But by the time they were going to address offensive linemen because they had to fix their D-line, I mean, those O-line weren't strong enough. They weren't great enough. You were probably going to draft a guy that's not going to start. It could have been good depth. I think it could have been good depth, but they have a lot of depth guys. They weren't drafting a starting offensive lineman. And I think that's where Niner fans were upset. That's where the grades went down. The consensus, PFF, and everybody else, Sports Illustrated, all the people that graded the 49ers bad, they were like, oh, they didn't get an offensive lineman. But that defense was very bad last year. They had to do what they had to do. Salah had to fix that defense. So, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate the picks. Give me a second. Lighting's bad today. There we go. We're having technical difficulties today. All right, we were having some technical difficulties there. We're back, though. Hold up. Let's take a look at some of these questions. So, prayers up for Dre. He can't catch a break. Thinks a lot did good, but the damn quarterback was crazy. We'll talk about that too. 495 says Cam. That's what he ran. Yeah. Hot take. I think Colby's going to be starting at left guard. So let's talk about that too. So yeah, those are good things. The quarterback, let's get into that. So obviously the 49ers drafted a really good defense and they needed those players. And I think a lot of people are upset they didn't go offensive line heavy. They only got two between UDFAs and draft picks. So they didn't really build a lot of offensive linemen. And I know that's one thing we all wanted. Like, I don't think Colton McKivitz is great. And I think Trent Williams is fantastic, but you need to make sure you get those two guys replacements one day. The 49ers have not really put an emphasis on tackles. There's a stat I saw today, and it was a glaring stat. And again, one of the things that the 49ers said was they wanted to get some offensive linemen. They kept trying. It just wasn't the guy they wanted. And then once they got to a certain spot, there were certain players they wanted. And I think there was just a couple of players that they were targeting. They got drafted already ahead of them. I think the Raiders were taking a guy that they really wanted. So they missed out on players that they wanted. Let's see. This was the stat. Okay. The 49ers have made 37 picks in their last 4 drafts. Okay. The last 4 drafts, they made 37 picks. They've drafted zero offensive tackles in those 37 picks. 37 picks in the last 4 years. They spent 0 draft picks on tackles. So that tells you they just don't prioritize that position. They're going to need to, because next year or the year out, who knows? When is Trent Williams retiring? I don't know. But when he does, you're going to need to make sure you replace him. Colton McKivitz, next year, you're going to need to replace him. I mean, we all want him to be replaced this year, but it is what it is. Center, guard, right? That's a weak spot. You lost Aaron Banks. They did draft a solid guard, I think, out of Iowa. Let's talk about him. We all know they did take one offensive line. And it was funny because when I don't know if it's funny to some because people are pissed at this point, but it was funny to me because Jed York tweeted, nobody suggested offensive lineman. Let's take an offensive lineman. And Niner fans at that point were so pissed off because they didn't take an alignment. And then Jed York tweets, oh, nobody suggested it to me. Like, he's trolling everybody because everybody was probably mentioning him, tweeting him, adding him, saying, you're drafting offensive lineman. So they did. They get Iowa guard Connor Colby, pick 249. I saw this guy's tape. He's a bulldozer. I think he fits the system. I think he could come in and start at left guard. He's going to compete with Ben Barch, Spencer Burford. This might be a low-key steal of a draft type pick. He could be a starter if he can come in and beat those guys, Spencer Burford and Ben Barch. I like Barch. He's good, but the injury risk is there. I like Spencer Burford. Last year, he wasn't as good as his rookie season, so he's got a lot to prove. So this could be a good competition. Connor Colby, definitely a solid player. If not, he's a good rotation piece, and I think he could come in. He can also play center, so he's a guard center type guy. So if he doesn't get that guard spot, maybe he can slide over and compete with Jake Brendel, because I know a lot of Niner fans don't like him. Jake Brendel didn't allow any sacks, but we know we can be better at that spot. Like, if you watch a lot of games, he made some big errors, but it is what it is. The Niners love him. The Niners like their O-line. If they repeat their same O-line as last year, Brock Purdy didn't look like he was too comfortable back behind that O-line. So it's going to be questionable, right? So Christine, Cam says, I'm honestly surprised they didn't address the center at all, because Jake Brendel, I feel like he's the weakest link. Yeah, and as most Niner fans feel, Jake Brendel is the weakest link. So why didn't they address it? But again, I don't know if you want to say excuse, their explanation was there wasn't a guy that we wanted at that spot that we thought would be able to take that role. Like, they've said many times, the people on the roster, like Matt Hennessy, he's not going to be able to take that spot from Jake Brendel. So they're thinking Jake Brendel is better than everybody they have on the roster. So they needed to find a guy they thought is better than Jake Brendel, and they don't see it. So in their eyes, Jake Brendel is like, here. I know in our eyes, we're like, what are you talking about? How can there not be anybody better than Brendel? But backup lineman depth in general, it's not that huge in the NFL. So it's like, it's all relative to, yeah, okay, he may not be the greatest center in the league. He might be one of the worst ones, right, to Niner fans, but there's not much better out there. So we might as well keep this guy. He's relatively cheap. That's where the Niners are coming from. I mean, that's not my overall take. That's where the Niners come from. They've told us that many times. So, I mean, do I want Jake Brendel starting? I don't, but it is what it is. What are we going to do? If you can't find a better player than him, then why downgrade? Why change it if the guy that's going to come in is not better than him? I think that's where the Niners are at. But again, I do think they should have got a center to at least compete. But maybe they got a guy in mind that could do it. Maybe Connor Colby could do it. So it is interesting. The 49ers just don't emphasize offensive line. They went defensive heavy because they had to fix that defense. It was bad. They lost a lot of defensive players overall. They have some players on the O-line that they've brought in over the last couple of years that are maybe going to be practice squad guys or backups and depth pieces that are going to compete. But their starting line is pretty much going to be unchanged. You got Colton McKivitz, Dominic Pooney, who was amazing. You know, Jake Brendel, left guard, kind of open, but it's probably going to be Ben Barch, maybe Connor Colby, and then Trent Williams. If Trent Williams is healthy, the O-line is fantastic, and it doesn't matter. But if he's not, and he misses some games, he is getting older. He does get, hurt here and there's some nagging injuries. So I was surprised they didn't go tackle. I wish they would have got a tackle. So it is what it is. They did draft a quarterback, and I think the pushback on that was, why you draft a quarterback when you need a tackle depth? Like, even if they weren't going to draft a tackle to start, you get a guy that could kind of compete, because you did lose, right? Elijah Moore. He was a swing tackle. He was your backup. Now he's gone. He went to the Chiefs. He got a big contract, which I don't blame him for leaving. He got paid very handsomely. But you took a quarterback who's rehabbing from a torn ACL, and he's not even going to play because he's your third string, fourth string. So I feel like that pick should have been a tackle. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. He might be a good quarterback. He might come in. They need quarterback insurance because the 49ers are a team that have went through numerous quarterbacks. They've had injuries. So I get it. But I think the guy they drafted, Curtis Rourke, would have been there undrafted. I think they could have got him undrafted. He's good. Like, I saw his stats. He looked good. I saw some film. He's the Maple Missile. He's Canadian, so they call him the Maple Missile. I love the nickname. But, I mean, did you really need another quicksand type stuck in the mud quarterback? And I will say this, he was probably stuck in the mud last year because he was playing on a torn ACL. Like, it's incredible. The man played through a season on a bad knee. And so he's tough as nails. 29 touchdowns. He's got 10,000 career passing yards. He's actually not a bad quarterback. I saw him. He's good. But at the same time, did we need a quarterback there? A guy that's injured who's not even going to play it down on this team as long as Brock is healthy, right? And he might not even make it as your QB3. He might not make it as QB3 because you got Tanner Mordecai, you got Mac Jones. It's crazy. You took a quarterback when you could have taken an O-line. I think that was their biggest mistake of the draft. That's the only one I was really like, oh, man, what are you doing? What are you doing, Niners? What are you doing? That was definitely a weird pick. I think they could have got him later, but it is what it is. Kyle Shanahan was given the keys to the draft. So, right, Robert Saleh was in control. They took the keys and they gave it to Kyle Shanahan for 2 picks. And then Saleh said, give me those keys back because I need to fix this. That's when he went and got CJ West. But before they got CJ West, they drafted 2 offensive skill players. They got Ole Miss wide receiver Jordan Watkins, and then they got Oregon running back Jordan James. Jordan James, a lot of people are questioning this pick because he's 5'8", he's small, undersized. He's a bowling ball. He's a brute force type, grind it, hit you in the mouth running back. I love this pick. He's Frank Gore approved. Frank Gore, obviously Jed tweeted the Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame running back approves, which obviously read between the tea leaves. It's Frank Gore. Frank Gore is scouting on the night. He's helped scouting with the Niners. So yes, Jordan James is a monster. He reminds me a lot of Jordan Mason when he was on the team. Who did the 49ers lose this offseason? Jordan Mason. They needed a third running back. They needed fresh legs. You got CMC, question mark, right? We all know he says he's going to be healthy, but who the hell knows? Isaac Rendo, good player. He got hurt twice last year. You need some depth. This guy's got young, fresh legs, and he is a bruiser. Goal line back, you need a guy that's going to hit you in the mouth and be able to get that 1 yard. They were so bad in the goal line last year in the red zone. You get a kind of a red zone back here, and I like this pick. He's a grind it out type running back. Jordan James was good. Good player. That was a good pick. That was actually a great value pick. Jordan Watkins, he kind of fits the mold. I don't expect him to be a big-time player and wide receiver right now, but he might get more opportunities, right, than he normally would as a rookie. He even said, Kyle Shanahan's offense is tough to crack. But the one thing he said, and I posted it when I was watching his interview, is he understands the key importance of blocking. Right there, Kyle Shanahan guy, he understands blocking. He did a lot of blocking at Ole Miss. He's going to do it with the 49ers. He knows no block, no rock. Let's go. And Brandon Ayuk's going to miss some time, right, early on the season. So this guy could come in, get some opportunities. You got to make the most of those opportunities because, right, rookies in Kyle Shanahan's offense don't get much. I like the kid's skill set. He's quick. He's pretty agile. He's a good, lightning rod type home run hitter, big threat type receiver. So I like him. He's going to stretch the field. We got to block. He understands that. I didn't hate the pick. There was a lot of wide receivers that people did want. Niners got the guy they like because he can block. And I think that's very important for the 49ers in getting a wide receiver. A couple years back, they drafted Juwan Jennings. He's probably the best blocking wide receiver in the league. And that's why he's been able to catapult up the league. So Watkins has talent, could probably be better and use more if he can continue to showcase, that blocking ability. The 49ers, a couple years back, they drafted Dante Pettis, second round, and there was a lot of high hopes. He had a lot of quickness, athleticism, agility, but he didn't know how to block. He couldn't block his way out of a paper bag, and that was his downfall. He was in the doghouse. Brandon Ayuk, he was in the doghouse his first year, right? And second year. Then he kind of figured it out, and then he blossomed, became a breakout star. He got paid $30 million. Unfortunately, the injury, that's the key. Block, 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 and you get the rock. So I thought it was a decent pick. It wasn't like, oh, my God, we got Jordan Watkins. It was like, okay, I liked him. I saw him before the draft. I know they met with him, so I looked into his film. Pretty solid. But he's not like a blow away. If they would have got Savion Williams, if they would have got my guy Savion Williams, we would have been hyped. We would have been like, let's go, Kyle. Oh, my God. That was my guy. But hey, it is what it is. You got a solid guy. He can stretch the field, and he understands the importance of blocking. Love to hear it. So 49ers also drafted a safety. And as we know, this pick now is very important. They also added some veterans. They got Jason Pinnock this offseason. They've been sprinkling in some DBs, some safety additions, right, through the offseason. And you're wondering, why would they be signing all these safeties? Obviously, Talanoa Hufanga left, right? So, okay, maybe you get a guy to compete, bring in with Talanoa Hufanga. You got Jair Brown, who's a second-year guy. Is he going to be replaced? And then they drafted Marquise Seigel, Kansas State safety, DB. Guy has a lot of upside. He's a big hitter. And you wonder, why would they draft another safety when you got Mustafa and Jair Brown? Well, we all found out the news the other day. Malik Mustafa, last game of the season, he re-injured an ACL that he tore in 2022. The graft that they had placed in it tore. So he had to go get surgery to repair that. Unfortunate. They say he's probably going to be out till midseason. But him, his mom, a lot of people close to him are saying it's probably more like not midseason. I'm going to try to be there week 1. So he's tough. He heals quick. You saw him. He works out like amazing. He looks like a genetic monster. He looks like he is, a genetic freak. Like, I don't know. He just looks like Wolverine. That's the word. He looks like Wolverine. So he probably heals faster than me, you, and everybody else. So he's trying to get back by week 1. I don't want him to rush it. ACL is scary, but they have drafted some insurance. And Marquise Seigel, if Malik Mustafa's not ready week 1 and he tears it up in training camp, he might get a lot more opportunities for the 49ers at safety. So it was interesting. They added a lot of safeties this offseason, and now it makes sense. A lot of people were upset, so I want to talk about that Mustafa injury too. So it happened at the last game of the season. They didn't think it was a major injury. He left the game. It was that last game of the season. There's nothing to play for. You take him out of the game. Him and Jair Brown left, him and Hufanga left that game. So it's like, okay, last game of the season, don't risk injury. They ended up getting MRI later that week because they were like, oh, you still got pain? Okay, let's do an MRI just to be safe. And then they found out he re-injured that ACL. And at that point, it was the off season. So in the off season, you don't have to report the injuries. And it actually is smart because if they would have reported the injury and said all the stuff like, oh my God, the 49ers, Malik Mustafa's injuries late, it would have messed up their draft, right? It would have tipped their picks. People would have known they're gunning for safeties. People would have drafted a safety that maybe they were looking for. They would have went up the board. The Niners had to keep it kind of on the low. They had to keep it on the hush. And the rules say you don't have to, notify the league if it's the offseason. You don't have to tell anybody because, hey, that's the rule. And the 49ers, they found a loophole. It's kind of actually smart. A lot of people were pissed off. But now that I think about it, this was fantastic strategy by 49ers because if they would have told the world, yeah, we need a safety because Malik Mustafa's ACL is messed up, everybody would have jumped him on the draft. They would have traded. They would have made sure the Niners don't get the guy they want. That's how the draft works, strategy. So I think that it's actually pretty smart the way the 49ers operated it and didn't tell us, although a lot of people were outraged. They were outraged. So MSQ says, Jordan James, he doesn't fumble and he can block. That was a big key. He is the perfect Kyle Shanahan running back. Jordan James, he had no fumbles in his college career. I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you said it so I can repeat it. I didn't want to say it. I know the stat, but if I say something and bring it up first, that we're JINX. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't go to Warriors games because of that. So you said it. Thank you for letting us know. Perfect Kyle Shanahan running back. So if Roger approves, I approve. Yeah. Is that the reason Hufanga got the money he did? Probably. All right. He got big money for the 49ers or for leaving the 49ers. But I think also, too, people saw Hufanga's talent and upside. I mean, he's still only, in his fourth year in the league. He was a former All-Pro. So I think that's one of the reasons why Hufanga got paid, obviously, because he still has some good upside, and he's a good player. I just think it was 49ers need to go in a different direction, and they need to get younger. So California Man says Jordan James could be Jordan Mason's replacement. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Steven Reynolds says Bleacher Report are comparing Jordan James to Devonta Freeman. Makes sense because that's the type of running back that Kyle Shanahan has had in his system before, right? Jordan James probably is the next type of, Devonta Freeman, or maybe, like I said, Jordan Mason. Those are running backs Kyle's had in his system. Makes sense. Replicate what you know. Kyle Shanahan gets players that he knows that can fit his system, just like Robert Saleh got a bunch of defensive players that he knows, right? So, or that fit his style. So it makes sense. Couple other things to clean up here. The 49ers had some UDFAs. They signed 6. I thought they'd sign more. You usually sign more, but they have 6 UDFAs, undrafted free agents. They got running back Corey Kiner out of Cincinnati, Isaiah Nair out of Nebraska. I like this kid. Good upside. I think he could at least make the practice squad. They got an offensive lineman because everybody was upset. They got Drew Moss out of Colorado State. Not bad. He's a guard. Could play center. They got a defensive lineman, Sebastian Valdez out of Washington. Pretty decent type player. Maybe he can make the practice squad. Again, they need depth. Got to make sure your practice squad's as good as it can be. They got a Stone Blanton, Mississippi State linebacker. This guy was great. I thought this was a steal at linebacker at undrafted. This is probably my favorite undrafted player. This was good. Stone Blanton is a dog. And then the other guy they got, Jacob Robinson, BYU cornerback, another really good undrafted player. So those two guys, probably my favorite on the undrafted board. I've seen them both play before and pretty good upside. So those were good undrafted players. A couple other guys, right? They added. They know what to do. They can add them on practice squad. Corey Kiner, Cincinnati running back. Keep an eye on him. 49ers turn undrafted running backs into future starters. Jordan Mason, Matt Breida, right? JaMycal Hasty. The 49ers undrafted running backs typically play on their lineup at some point. So you might be hearing the name Corey Kiner down the line. I thought this was a move that was, here comes the next future running back, 1 or 2 for the 49ers. Keep an eye on that. And we talked about a little bit. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw, he reportedly suffered a torn quadriceps, but then it was reported later that it was a minor strain. So someone said it was just a strain, but you got to understand a strain is a tear, but it's maybe not as significant as the tear they thought initially. Strain in the quads. He didn't need surgery. He's going to rehab and probably be back for the start of the season. So prayers up to Dre Greenlaw. Unfortunate. A lot of people were ripping him in the comments. Say, yeah, that's why they let him go. He's injury prone, but I got love for the guy. And then this morning, Albert Breer confirmed that the 49ers did trade up, right, to try to get Mykel Williams at 8. We didn't know what team, and it turns out 49ers tried to trade up to pick number 8 with the Carolina Panthers to try to get Mykel Williams at the number 8th pick. But the Carolina Panthers were worried that they would lose Ted McMillan, and they said, no dice. We got to make sure we get the guy because the 49ers, right, they wanted Mykel Williams, but the Rams, other teams, the Saints, maybe they would have tried to take Ted McMillan from the Chargers or for the Carolina Panthers. So that was the team. I thought that was interesting, right? We didn't know who they traded up with, but it turned out to be the Panthers, and they said denied. Now, the 49ers have had several players that they've invited to rookie minicamp next week. The one that sticks out to me, there's a whole bunch. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the players that they've invited because a lot of it's relative. Some of these guys probably won't make the team. Now, this one stood out the most. Obviously, 49ers are bringing in the Lou Groza Award winner, which means you're the best kicker in college, Kenny Almendarez, to their upcoming rookie minicamp tryout. He played at Louisiana Raging Cajuns. He's their all-time leading scorer in the entire college. The all-time leading scorer, Kenny Almendarez. He won Lou Groza Award. Jake Moody, you got some competition. I thought they were going to bring in a veteran. They still might. They still might sign a veteran, but for now, let's see what he does with this. Let's see how he competes. This is my theory. Kenny's going to come in. Jake Moody's going to win the competition. I don't know how you have a kicker competition. You just line them up. You let Jake kick one. You let Kenny kick one. You let Jake kick one. Kenny kick one. Move it back. Kenny, Jake. Kenny, Jake. Move it back. Kenny, Jake. You kind of gauge it a couple of days in a row. And then you pick the best man that you think. I don't know. Or then maybe you play him in the preseason. But I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to sign Kenny, undrafted, right? So maybe he'll compete. Maybe he'll compete with Jake. And Jake's going to beat him in a competition. But they'll also get a veteran. Now, the motivation, the confidence that Jake Moody gets from beating Kenny will make him better. And then he can beat out a veteran. So if he can beat out two people this offseason, 49ers will not take that. I really think that Kyle wants to swallow. He wants to keep his pride going and his ego and say, see, look, Jake beat out two people in the offseason. That's what I think they're going to do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Kenny smashes him. Like, you guys should smash that like button. I hope Kenny smashes him, smash that like button, and then he's the kicker. Or they get a veteran and just say, screw you both. We got a kicker that's a veteran that's proven. I don't know. Another unproven guy. It's a little risky, but Kenny, he looks like he could hit a damn field goal. I saw his pro day highlights, but that's against nobody. Can he do it in the NFL with the pressure barreling down his throat? I don't know, but it's going to be a competition. MSQ says, will I give Moody his flowers if he beats out a Lou Groza Award winner? We'll see how he does if he beats out Kenny and he performs in the regular season, sure, I'll give him his flowers, but you got to earn that respect. You got to earn those flowers. I'm not just going to give you flowers. So we'll see. Kyle's brain is right. Kenny the kicker. Yeah, they call him Kenny the kicker, says Peter. His IG, Kenny the kicker. He's locked in. I like him. I like his style already. But you guys have a good rest of your day. Got to get ready to watch this Warriors game tonight. Have a good one. That's it. Overall, I know we don't want to grade everything. You got Larry Krueger and Dave Lombardi. So you shouldn't grade the draft. You don't know what these players are going to panic. You don't know what they're get it. But I'm going to give a grade because that's what people do. And you want to give at least what you think the draft's going to turn out to be. I think the draft is going to turn out to be a solid B draft because I feel like those first 5 defensive players they drafted are going to all have an impact. The 3 of them should start right away. CJ West, Michael Williams, and Alfred Collins should be day 1 starters. B. There you go. And yeah, Raw. We got to watch Raw. You guys have a good rest of your night. Love you. Bang, bang. Not again.